Year 5, Monday the 1st of March. Here is your fact of the day. So it's 12 times 6 equals 72. So if you know that fact, what other facts do you know? I've put in a few decimals a decimal up here for you to think about, and a fraction here, because obviously that's what we're learning about at the moment. What's 1/6 of 72? What might be 1/6 of 720? So have a go. As many facts as you can think of around 12 times 6 equals 72. Hello Year 5, happy Monday. So we're carrying on with fractions. And today's lesson, today's TRP is, can I compare fractions with denominators that are multiples? So this is the sheet that should be in your pack. This is the first one. I think I've given you 3 sheets, but this is the one that I want you to start with. So for this, we just need to recap, don't we? That we know what we're thinking about. So the denominators are the numbers at the bottom, aren't they? Denominators are the bottom numbers and numerators are the top numbers. So the first question here is asking me to compare 1/4 and 1/2. So which is bigger, 1/4 and 1/2? So first of all, you could think back practically to when you did the fair feast. If you had half a pizza, can you picture that? You might be able to picture that in your head, what half a pizza looks like and 1/4 of a pizza looks like. So you might be able to answer that question straight away. So we're going to be doing the more than or less than symbols. So you might know that, as I say, straight away, or think back to the fair feast. But I've got some cuisenaire here to help show you this. So here is my one whole. So this could be a pizza. This could be my pizza. Could be a whole sausage. Could be anything. So here I've got one whole. So I'm going to find a half. So here I've got 2 halves. And we see they fit exactly, and there's 2. So this is 1/2 and this is 1/2. So one whole is made up of 2 halves. We know that if we cut an apple in half, how many pieces do we get? We get 2 pieces. And 2 is the denominator, isn't it? So the number at the bottom is the number of pieces that we have if we're sharing a thing. So this is our apple. We've cut it in half. How many pieces have we got? We've got 2. So the same again for the quarters. So you can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got my whole. I've got a half and a half, 2, because 2 halves equal 1 whole. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. So the question was, what's bigger, 1/4 and 1/2? Well, you should be able to see that easily with the cuisenaire. We can prove which one is bigger, because here is 1/2 and here is 1/4. And you can see, obviously, that the 1/2 is bigger than the 1/4. So on your sheet, the greater than sign is going to go this way, because 1/2 is greater than. And remember, when we have the greater than, the crocodile mouth goes to the biggest number, doesn't it? So 1/2 is greater than 1/4. 1/4 is smaller than 1/2. And we've proved that with the cuisenaire, because we've got. And now I know you haven't got cuisenaire at home, but I'll link again to the cuisenaire that's the online one that I know a lot of you use. So this is 1 whole. Here I've got 1/2. Here I've got 1/4. Remember, it's a quarter because how many equal parts have I got? 4. This is a half because how many equal parts have I got? 2. And this is 1/2 and this is the other half. So that 2 halves make 1 whole. 4 quarters make 1 whole. So that's our first one. But obviously now that we're in Year 5, we need to think of a way that we can work out comparing these fractions without always getting out our cuisenaire. So we're going to have a look at another question and think about what would be an easy mathematical way of working that out. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second question, which we're going to go over here. So we've got 3/8 and 1/4. Now, the way to find the answer to these questions without using the equipment and the cuisenaire is to find the lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator is a multiple of both denominators. So let's just have a think here. So our denominators here are 4 and 8. So like when we did the multiplication and the division, we wrote that down. So 4 and 8. And the lowest one that is of both of those, in this case, is 8. So we can convert this fraction into eighths, and then we'll be able to see which one is bigger. So when we do that, we do the same to the numerator as we do to the denominator. So if I'm going to change this to eighths, what have I done to the 4? I've times it, haven't I? And what have I times it by 2? So if I've times my denominator by 2, I've got to times my numerator by 2. So 1 times 2 would be 2. Now I can compare it, can't I? Because I've got 3/8 and 2/8. Well, 3/8, if I go back to my pizza and I had 3/8 of the slices, I'd have more than a person who had 2/8 of the slices. So my greater than sign would go this way. And again, I can prove that using my cuisenaire. So here's my cuisenaire. Here's my 1/2. Here's my halves, here's my quarters, and here are my eighths. Let's try and get them straight, Mrs. Oliver. So, here we are. Tricky cuisenaire. That's it. Right, so, there we are. So, can I prove that my answer is correct? So, here I've got 3/8. So here was 3 of my eighths. This is 1 of my eighths. 1, 2, 3. And here is my quarter. Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you line them up together, which is bigger? And you can clearly see that the 3/8, 1, 2, 3/8, is bigger than the 1/4. So we've proved that that's right. We've used our maths to find the lowest common denominator, but then we've also proved that we were right by using the cuisenaire. So the things to remember are find the lowest common multiple of these things, which in this case is the 8, because 8 won't go into 4, will it? 8 will go into 8 and 4 will go into 8. So 8 is the lowest number that those two numbers will both go into. So that's the number that I'm going to convert it to. And then whatever I do to the bottom number, I do to the top number. Okay, so if you've got the first sheet, I've given you, this is the second sheet in your pack. If you've done the first sheet and you're struggling, then maybe don't look at this one. Maybe just practice and go over the first sheet and use the cuisenaire on the board. If you're thinking, oh yeah, I get this, or you want a challenge, and I know year 5 are good for wanting a challenge, there's another sheet. So here we've got the question 1/3 and 5/12. And we've got to see which one is greater and which one is less than. So do you remember we find the lowest common denominator for the 3 and the 12. Now, because these are always, all the answers, all of the questions rather on this sheet are multiples of each other. But to work this out, you could say, so to go in your 3 times tables, the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. So 12 is a multiple of 3, and obviously 12 is a multiple of 12. That's the lowest number I can have that's a multiple of both of those numbers. So this is what I'm going to need to change my 1/3 into 12ths. So this is why we do multiplication and division before we do this. So what have I done here to my 3 to get it to 12? What have I times it by? 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I've times my denominator by 4, I need to times my numerator by 4. 1 times 4 equals 4. So now I can compare them, can't I? Because the denominators are the same. So I've got 4 twelfths and I've got 5 twelfths. And obviously if that was a cake being cut up, 5 twelfths would be bigger, would be greater than 4 twelfths. And again, just to prove that with the cuisenaire, here I've got my whole, my 1 whole. Here I've got thirds, and here I've got twelfths. So what is my question was 1/3. So here's my 1/3. Is that greater than 5 twelfths? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there again, you can clearly see that the 5 twelfths is greater than the 1/3. So if you're up for a challenge, carry on. Find the lowest common denominator, which actually for most of these will be the highest denominator here, but that's only because these are all multiples of the same number. So have a go, and I look forward to seeing your answers on Zoom.